welcome to Genesis Global Radio, the origin of information. And now here's your host, Christine Larkin.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Genesis Global Radio, the origin of information. I'm Christine Larkin, and it's my pleasure to welcome to our show today, Laura McGee. Laura is a divorce coach and the founder of Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. She has spent almost 30 years communicating through conflict on behalf of her clients. She began her career as a trial attorney, trained as a mediator, and has been the voice that ensured facts were presented and stories were told persuasively. Laura is no longer their voice in the courtroom, but we're happy about that because it gets better. She now coaches men and women so they can find their voice and be heard in the face of the chaos and conflict of divorce. As a coach and a divorce planner, Laura works directly with individuals contemplating or going through divorce, as well as those struggling after divorce to co-parent through life's changes. Leave Strong is changing the way people divorce in San Diego, and we all want in on it. We are fortunate to have Laura McGee of Leave Strong Divorce Coaching with us here today to explain just what she does and how to divorce without destroying your life and legacy. From sunny California, San Diego in particular, I'd like to welcome Laura McGee to our show. How are you, Laura?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
It's a pleasure. And, so what comes to mind first is, tell us, what exactly is a divorce coach?
Yeah. Well, divorce is such a time-consuming and fear-based, detail-oriented process that as a coach, what I'm really doing is I'm helping people to demystify that process and help them with the expectations they might have. There's often an enormous gap between the reality and the expectations. I help organize them, a little bit of the hand-holding and a little bit of shall we say, a legal interpretation, not so much playing lawyer with legal advice, but helping them to know how do you even ask the right questions so that you get the information you need from your attorneys and people within the system.
Yeah, that's really a great platform for both the client and yourself to come together in that relationship. So really necessary. So give us an example of a client you've helped who was contemplating divorce. They haven't gone through with it yet, and maybe they haven't even hired an attorney. Give us a little scenario.
Yeah, and it's very common. In fact, it's a wonderful time for someone to find a coach, and I ideally get involved in that contemplation stage. That's where I can probably create the greatest amount of cost saving for individuals. Because, so an example, I had a client that, I must have spent about 8 months with her, which was a little bit unusual, but she had been involved in an extramarital affair and was trying to make decisions about whether to leave her marriage or go into therapy and see if she could basically heal the marriage. And part of it for her was understanding, what were going to be the true financial costs and what the likely outcome would be around the child sharing plan. And so it was really just being able to talk through what would it look like on the other side? What would a divorce look like? And was she ready for that reality? And what would going back into her marriage look like? And was she ready to do that kind of work? I don't make those decisions for my clients, but I help them to make sure they've asked the right questions so that they're making informed choices.
Mm-hmm. And do you assist them in making and asking themselves the right questions as well?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's something that it's such a critical piece. Obviously, marriages, as they end, we often get embroiled in the shame-blame game, I call it, where it's hard to own responsibility. So one of the things I do is help people, to face their own music, because ideally, divorce is also a healing process. It's a painful one, but hopefully you don't come out of it just angry, bitter, and blaming somebody else for everything that has gone on in your life up to that point. Because ideally, and so often the clients I'm dealing with have children, you're going to be able to co-parent effectively after divorce, because that's just so critical.
Absolutely. So if someone is already embroiled in a divorce, is it too late for them, or can you still help?
I still find there's many things I can do to support people if they haven't found me until they're in the midst of the chaos. One of the things might be actually helping them to get organized, because it's such a document-ridden process. And if you do all of that in your attorney's office, it's very costly. And or if you're sitting in your therapist's office going, and then he said, and then I said, and can he say that? So one of the things I really do, I'm more action-oriented than a therapist would be, more of a strategic planner, and I'm more focused on ensuring that that client, even if they're in the midst of the process, is not spending $300, $400, $500 an hour in an attorney's office getting answers to questions that are not legal questions. It's not legal advice they need. It's more organizational. And a lot of times questions don't even get asked of the client just because the client didn't even know to bring up the information with the attorney. So some of it is me helping them know that your attorney is going to want to know this, and they're going to want to know that. Collect these documents, organize them this way.
Beautiful. Oh, wow. What a great niche market there for you. This is wonderful. Helping those people that, yes, could really be steered off course without your help. So leavestrong.com is the website. Email Laura McGee at leavestrong.com. That's Laura and then MCGEE at leavestrong.com. The number is 760-809-3869. And she's on Facebook under Leavestrong Divorce Coaching. We'll take a short break here and come back and continue on. I'm Christine Larkin. You're listening to Genesis Global Radio, The Origin of Information. We'll be right back. Animal lover, author, artist, and public speaker, Patricia Daly-Lipe is a Renaissance woman in her own right. A lover of animals from a young age, Patricia lives on a farm in Virginia and has rescued neglected thoroughbred horses, keeping them or finding them safe havens. She is also a published author, and her books document real-life experiences that she shares in her passionate stories, taking the reader around the world in a colorful kaleidoscope of life. An accomplished artist, Patricia Daly-Lipe's oil paintings feature animals, portraits, stills, nature, and abstract, and she allows the brush to paint the image in an organic, natural way. A public speaker, Patricia is motivated to continually wonder about life and advocates for all of us to do the same and document our own unique history. To learn more about Patricia Daly-Lipe, visit www.literarylady.com and www.patricialipe.com or email her at pdlipe@gmail.com. And we're back. I'm Christine Larkin. This is Genesis Global Radio, The Origin of Information. And our guest today is Laura McGee. She has her own business, such a wonderful, important business, Leavestrong Divorce Coaching. And whether you are contemplating divorce or you are in the midst of it, Laura can really assist you with those very, very necessary questions that maybe you didn't even think of. And we don't want you wasting your hard-earned money on lawyer fees that maybe you don't need to be spending. So, Laura, tell us, we hear so many couples fighting over children long after divorce. Do you ever get involved at that point?
Yes, that's another area that I really have an opportunity to help people, and I have to tell you, it's so rewarding for me because I am a single parent myself, and, I just can't even imagine anything more important than how we teach our children to love, and because they're going to be the next generation. They're going to teach their children how to love. So, yes, I definitely get involved. Sometimes it's issues over, there's a new step-parent involved or even just a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or there's move-away issues. And it doesn't you don't necessarily need a lawyer for it. You need someone to help you, once again, strategically think through what's going to be the best for everybody, and getting away from some of the fears that drive us to do silly things, and into a problem-solving approach to how can we effectively co-parent and look at this more in a team approach.
Yeah. And that team approach, tell us how really important that can be.
Yeah, I mean, I really come at it from the perspective, and I do encourage my clients to try to look at it, that your child will always know you're a parent, and they will love you, and you will love them, and if nothing can get in the way of invading that, the more people that love us in life, a nanny or a special teacher or a nursery school teacher, hopefully many people will love us in our life, and it doesn't have to be a sky is falling event if there's a new co-parent and if they're there as a loving participant. But helping people establish what are healthy boundaries, and then how do you implement them, and how do you communicate through some of this conflict so as not to escalate the conflict. Because there really are strategies that do work. A lot of times we just aren't good at them yet, and it takes practice. Anything in life requires practice.
Sure. It's like anything else. It's a daily, a work in progress, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
So tell us a little bit about working with men and women. Do you work with both? Are you exclusive to one or the other? Tell us about that.
I definitely work with both men and women. I don't isolate my services. I find that women tend to find me first, and I think it's more because typically in a divorce scenario, the women are the ones that are struggling financially. They're ones usually seeking to get support to help them with the co-parenting, both financially and timeshare issues. So they tend to find me first. I'm happy to work with couples together on occasion. Sometimes I'll come across a man and a woman that are fairly amicable and they really want support sort of unraveling their marriage together. And so that's a wonderful opportunity too. I really just say to clients that if you come at this with a willingness to function with complete transparency and integrity and honesty, and you want support with that kind of a process, I'm happy to work with you, because those are the kind of people that I really like to be able to support.
Yeah. And are they a minority of the clients? Or do you see some people are really mature and really approaching this on a high level?
You know, I'm pleased to say that I think that really is the majority.
Oh,
that's
great.
We all hear about horror stories out there of terrible divorces, and it's not like I haven't been exposed to those as well. But I'm grateful to say that most of the people I meet have an intention of creating an exit strategy that's high in integrity, and they just need support with how to do that, and they need help managing their fears and sort of those triggers that make them say and do things that they might regret later. So I find if the intention's there, sometimes the skill set's missing, and that's something that after 30 years of communicating, through conflict in a courtroom, in negotiations and mediations myself, I pride myself that one of the things that I'm most skilled at is giving people that language and those skills by being able to impart it.
That's beautiful, because, our language is that's like our arsenal. That's, we really need to know how to communicate effectively. We're going to take another short break here and come back and continue on. I'm Christine Larkin. You're listening to Genesis Global Radio, the origin of information. We're getting so much great information with Laura McGee today. And we'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome and thank you for listening to Genesis Global Media Talk Radio. Genesis Global Media is an advertising agency and so much more. We put you on the map. That's right, Genesis Global Media is a branding machine. If you have a story to tell, we get the word out there. Radio shows nationally, television shows nationally, print, internet, search engine optimization, social media, you name it, we do it all. Our in-house staff provides you with everything you need from concept to finished product. Our state-of-the-art 10,000 square foot video production facility is out of this world. During these tough economic times, most ad agencies have closed their doors. Our doors just keep opening, with 10 new clients coming on board weekly. Stop on by our website at www.genesisglobalmedia.com or call us at 631-419-7344. If you have a business, a product, or need to get messaging out there to millions of people, we're your solution. Stop on by our website at genesisglobalmedia.com or call us at 631-419-7344.
Intergenerational programming is uniting America due to the tireless efforts of Dr. Ramona Frischman. Retired from the Miami-Dade County Public School System, Dr. Frischman continues to develop intergenerational learning programs aimed to improve the lives of children, young adults, and seniors through unique strategies and public policy in order to establish a mutually supportive agenda. She views intergenerational programs as a resource for policymakers and the general public on economic, social, and personal initiatives that govern our society. Her work bridges the generational gap, providing many individuals the opportunity to explore areas of common ground and celebrate each other's diversity. Contact Ramona Frischman at ramonalong@aol.com or visit www.gu.org to learn more about intergenerational programming. And we are back. This is Genesis Global Radio, the origin of information. I'm Christine Larkin. Our guest today is Laura McGee from Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. And to our listeners, I'm going to give out some contact information, which is so important. www.leavestrong.com is the website. There's lots of great stuff there, a blog. There's even pricing, services, testimonials, resources. It's a very comprehensive site. Again, leavestrong.com. And if you want to email Laura, it's Laura McGee, MCGEE, at leavestrong.com, 760-809-3869. She's in San Diego, California, so please keep in mind the time difference. And Facebook at Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. So, Laura, to be the most effective, ideally, when would you get involved?
Right. Well, ideally, I would get involved in the contemplation stage. I can truly save people the most amount of angst and the most amount of money if I can get involved when they're still planning their exit strategy, or probably they don't even know they need a strategy yet.
Yeah.
That's where I come in. So we start to talk. Let's look at how. Let me help you with the how you can do this after if you've already decided that you do want to do it. I don't have to work on the why part, although sometimes I'll help people with that too. And now we need to talk about how, and timing can matter in terms of, I just had a client the other day. She's had MS been married 29 years, had MS for 23 of them, $10,000 a month for her medication. And she's worried about not having medical coverage. So this was a critical piece of creating a plan for the two of them. And the fear around that could have escalated the entire divorce into something way more costly than the $10,000 a month. And so I'm grateful that they found me at this planning stage so I can help them think through and plan through and often get to the experts and the resources that they need, because I work with a host of experts.
Yeah, which is great.
About me. Yeah, it's not just about me helping them, but I'm the resource hub. So one of the things I can do if I get them early on is to help them. Okay, go talk to this financial planner. Maybe go see a counselor one more time. Maybe so. I'm here to ensure that, because how often do you need to know what are the tools for divorcing?
Yeah.
Hopefully only one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
right. And if it was never, you would be out of business if it was never. So, but you saw a need for this. And I love this idea of you. That's why I mentioned your website. You have a section of resources because, there's so many other arms. It's almost like a tree. And these are different branches of advice and guidance. So fabulous. So, something came to mind. After all those years of marriage, what do you see generally going wrong?
Interesting. I really think at the end of the day, effective communication is probably, certainly the place where people break down and they start to become assumptive and don't feel acknowledged and listened to. Invariably, finances are an enormous piece of what creates a lot of conflict in marriage. But so often it's about how we communicate through that conflict. Like we might have an argument or dispute over one person's a squirrel and one person's a gambler. We might have arguments, but then it becomes shame and blame and very almost abusive, degrading comments that wound people, and the wounds start to layer, and it's no longer about just the money, and it's now about people trying to steal their power back after feeling so brutally wounded.
So it's sort of a cycle that just almost sounds like it can get out of control. So, it's so many pressures, but that communication, again, that's why we have guests like you on our program, so we can talk effectively and give out very important information in a way that everybody can really understand and feel good about. So again, that's leavestrong.com, Laura McGee at leavestrong.com, 760-809-3869, and Facebook. That is just such a wonderful way to reach so many people around the globe, basically. Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. So do you only work with clients in San Diego? Tell us about that.
I love this model of being able, because I coach in person if people prefer, especially, of course, if they're in the San Diego area. But I coach by Skype and phone, and I have clients all over the place. It's wonderful. People find me from various places, usually through the internet and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And, there aren't really state lines when it comes to divorce, because I'm not giving them legal advice. I'm
Right.
giving them support through a legal quandary, but it's not legal advice. So, yes, I can absolutely work well outside of the San Diego area, throughout Canada and the United States.
Terrific. Because, we're all human. Those emotions are not that different, right? We
Exactly.
going through this process. Again, you're not giving legal advice per se, but you're rather, it got their back, guiding them in the right directions. And lots of resources they may not know where to find. So you provide those as well. All right, we'll take another short break here and come back and continue with Laura McGee. I'm Christine Larkin. Genesis Global Radio is where you are, the origin of information, and we'll be right back. Dr. Rob Moyer is the director of the Ocean River Institute, and he is passionate about saving the ocean by helping dolphins suffering from nitrogen pollution. Nitrogen is a dangerous pollutant affecting our oceans, altering ocean ecosystems, and contributing to global warming. The Ocean River Institute provides opportunities to make a difference and encourages people to go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greater and bluer planet Earth. Partnered with organizations from Massachusetts to Florida, Alaska to the Caribbean, the Ocean River Institute's mission is to foster involvement in conservation and environmental monitoring by facilitating grassroots efforts at local and regional levels.
Hello, I'm Rob Moyer of the Ocean River Institute. Please visit our website at oceanriver.org. Sign up for free e-alerts. You may call us at 617-661-6647. Our email address is info@oceanriver. Become informed and then act with us. Thank you.
And we are back. I'm Christine Larkin, Genesis Global Radio, the origin of information, because we cannot get enough information, right? We're bombarded all day by it, but it's never enough. And especially today with our guest, Laura McGee, who has a very, unique platform here, Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. It's so fabulous. She does not give legal advice, but she guides people that are either contemplating divorce or, in the process of it, and maybe just kind of caught up and not knowing where to turn. But they turn to Laura, and she can really help them with resources and lots of information that they might not even know to ask about. So it's really terrific. Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. So, Laura, how do you measure whether you are a success, both from your vantage point and the client's?
Right. Well, I certainly measure my success based on whether my clients are successful in the after-divorce process, meaning are they moving on emotionally? Are they able to trust that love is even possible again, or are they leaving with this enormous amount of baggage and anger and angst? Are they co-parenting effectively? Meaning, are they involved and engaged and able to, do it in a way that this is not following them? I'm sure you've talked to people, we all have, where people want to keep telling their divorce story like there was a reward for that.
Yeah.
And, there is no reward for the worst divorce. So my goal, and I totally measure my success based on, the connections I make with these people that are often, and hopefully will be a lifetime connection, of being involved in seeing them move on and not destroying their legacy. The cost of a high-conflict divorce can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've seen it in absurd amounts. And it's a travesty to see, I believe attorneys do great work. I was an attorney. I have nothing against them. I work with attorneys collaboratively. But it's a carnage to think that, the cost of a Yale PhD just got spent arguing over who should have the kids, every second weekend versus 3 weekends or something like that. So if people still have their money so that they can enjoy making memories with their children and, exchange their children without a fight every week, and they can move on and love again, then I feel like I've contributed something that I define as success for all of us.
Well, that's beautiful. And that driving force, love, it's what brought two people together. It may be what drives two people apart, maybe loving someone else or there are many reasons why people separate. But that desire to want to love again, which I think is a driving force. I mean, how long generally does it take for a divorce process? Is it different for everyone? Is there an average amount of time?
Well, if two people come at it amicably, first of all, the quickest you can get divorced, at least in California, the legal process, the quickest is 6 months. I don't usually see people from start to finish in 6 months unless they've already done all their work and it's just, there's no children and it's very simple. Mm-hmm. I would say most people, even if they use a coach and perhaps move on to a mediator to wind it up, whatever little bits of contention they have, if they use sort of a very collaborative process, a coach and a mediator, about more like 6 to 12 months as they work through, because sometimes you have to try out these co-parenting plans first before you write them in stone, and they're never written in stone. But if you end up in a conflict case, the courts are so impacted with budget these days, particularly here in California, but it's the case everywhere. There's been lots of court closures. So if you filed divorce proceedings here in California right now, the earliest you would even get a first hearing in a courtroom to start talking about support, for example, unless there's domestic violence, would be about 5 to 6 weeks after you've even started, like just filed everything. Mm-hmm. And then it's a slow motion, slow moving train that just pulls out of the station and won't stop.
Until you divorce.
It can take several years, honestly, if you use a litigation system, because there's always something new you can argue about. Mm-hmm. So ideally, if you're doing it amicably and you're willing to work through the issues and try a few things on before you resolve everything, 6 to 12 months is very doable.
Okay. Well, that's, hey, that's manageable. And with your help, I'm sure it's a much nicer transition. So listeners, today, www.leavestrong.com. There's a lot of services listed, testimonials, resources. There's a blog on a couple of different topics, really great. Email Laura McGee at leavestrong.com. That's MCGEE at leavestrong.com. Phone number 760-809-3869. She's out in San Diego. And on Facebook at Leave Strong Divorce Coaching. So I want to take this time, Laura, we're at the end of our segment, to thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Christine. My pleasure.
For upcoming segments, log on to www.genesisglobalmedia.com and keep your finger on the pulse of the hottest brands on the planet.